Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, you've sent us the 2024 Integrated Report for Sumitomo Corporation, a name that, well, might not be on everyone's daily radar, but their reach is truly global.
It really is.
Our deep dive today is all about understanding the nuts and bolts of this giant, from their sprawling businesses and how they're performing financially, to their vision for the future and how they plan to deliver value.
Absolutely. It's fascinating, really, when you think about it. A company with roots stretching back 4 centuries.
4 centuries, wow.
Yeah, to copper mining, now evolving into this behemoth we see today. 884 subsidiaries and associated companies worldwide.
And almost 80,000 employees, right? As of last fiscal year.
Exactly, employing almost 80,000 people. So what's really interesting is unpacking how such a diverse entity operates, how it strategizes in today's, pretty complex global landscape.
Okay, so let's get right into it then. One of the first things that struck me in the report is pretty significant shakeup in how they're organized.
Right, the structure.
Yeah, they've moved away from a 60-year-old product division structure, 60 years. Now it's 9 business groups, each containing 44 strategic business units, SBUs. That just sounds like a massive undertaking.
It really does.
What's the core idea behind this fundamental shift?
Well, what's fascinating here is the clear signal it sends. It's about prioritizing global strategic objectives.
Okay.
And empowering each of those business groups with more autonomy. It sort of suggests the recognition that, the world is moving fast.
Right. Things change quickly.
Exactly. And a more decentralized structure might allow for quicker, more tailored responses to all these diverse market needs and opportunities.
Makes sense.
And this lines up perfectly with their new Medium-Term Management Plan 2026, which has this very direct ambition. Number 1 in each field.
Number 1 in each field. That's a bold declaration. So how do they intend to climb to the top in so many different arenas? The report lays out several key growth strategies.
It does, yeah. The first key strategy is, well, it's firmly rooted in strengthening and expanding their existing businesses. Yeah.
The ones they're already good at.
Precisely. The ones where they already have a strong foothold and, a competitive advantage. This isn't about standing still, though.
No.
It's about actively investing capital in areas like agribusiness, construction equipment, leasing. Think about the scale of infrastructure projects globally.
They're huge.
Various energy solutions as the world transitions, steel, their growing digital portfolio, healthcare, and real estate. These are their powerhouses, basically.
Oh, we're looking to amplify their impact there.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Build on your strengths. What's the next pillar in their growth plan?
So the second crucial pillar is accelerating growth through digital transformation, DX, and green transformation, GX.
DX and GX.
Okay.
What's interesting is that they established a dedicated DX center way back in 2018.
Oh, 2018. So they've been thinking about this for a while.
Yeah, this wasn't some knee-jerk reaction. They've been strategically thinking about how digital technologies can, revolutionize their operations and create new value streams for years.
Now, couple that with the global imperative for sustainability. Their GX initiatives are aimed squarely at capitalizing on the growing demand for green solutions across all their sectors.
And what about looking, beyond their current core businesses? Are they doing that too?
Absolutely. That's the third pillar. It focuses on actively nurturing next-generation businesses and strategically acquiring new strengths.
Okay, so looking ahead.
Right. It demonstrates a real forward-thinking mindset. They're not just focused on today's market. They're actively looking to plant seeds for future growth in areas that might not be central to their revenue right now.
Gotcha.
And finally, the fourth pillar is all about fostering much stronger collaboration between those newly formed strategic business units, the SBUs, within each of the 9 business groups.
Breaking down silos.
Exactly. The idea is to break down those internal silos and unlock new synergies by connecting different parts of their, vast enterprise. The Energy Transformation Business Group and the Diverse Urban Development Group are prime examples of how they see this internal collaboration creating new value propositions.
Okay, let's zoom in on that Energy Transformation Business Group for a moment. With, everything happening globally around energy, what's their approach?
Their strategy is really comprehensive. They're aiming to be a one-stop shop for both decarbonization and ensuring a stable energy supply.
That's a delicate balance.
It is. It's one many countries are grappling with. And this isn't just about promoting existing renewable tech.
No.
No, they're heavily invested in the future, looking at the commercialization of next-generation energy sources. Think hydrogen, ammonia, carbon capture. They want to be right at the forefront of the entire energy transition.
Ambitious. Okay, and the Diverse Urban Development Group, that sounds incredibly broad. What kind of projects are we talking about there?
It is a wide remit, yeah.
Okay.
But it's built on three core development capabilities, as they call them.
Okay.
Capabilities in basin facilities, in grid and rails, so think infrastructure,
Right, infrastructure.
and in overall area development.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're leveraging their expertise to take on these large-scale urban development projects globally.
So what does that include?
It spans everything from, traditional real estate ventures and industrial parks, and we're talking massive economic zones here,
Wow.
to the creation of more sustainable cities and essential infrastructure like transportation networks. For instance, they specifically mentioned their ongoing industrial park development in Vietnam,
Okay.
which is attracting significant foreign investment, and also their sustainable city development initiatives right here in Japan. So it shows a tangible global footprint.
Interesting. Shifting gears a bit, something closer to our daily lives, perhaps. What's the strategy for their lifestyle business group?
Here, the focus is very much on addressing fundamental human needs, food and health. They're leveraging their existing retail operations, like Summit supermarkets and Thomas drugstores, which gives them, direct insight into consumer behavior,
Mm-hmm.
combined with their healthcare business knowledge and a pretty significant global food distribution network.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, a concrete example of their innovative approach is their healthcare initiatives in Malaysia. They're actively working on solutions for medical cost containment.
Ah, a big issue everywhere.
Exactly, a major issue in many healthcare systems.
What about the more foundational industries, like their mineral resources group? What's the focus there?
In that sector, the core focus, well, it remains on ensuring a stable and secure supply of essential resources, like copper,
Right.
alongside expanding their aluminum business. But increasingly, there's a strong emphasis on enhancing the green value associated with these materials.
Green value in mining. How does that work?
Well, it likely refers to more sustainable extraction practices, reducing their environmental footprint,
I see.
and potentially playing a key role in supplying the raw materials needed for renewable energy technologies. So making even traditional mining relevant to a greener future.
Okay. Their chemical solutions group also seems to have a strong agricultural focus, based on a report.
Absolutely. A
Yeah.
key part of their strategy is to expand the sales of agricultural materials, providing farmers with the inputs they need.
Mm.
But they're also looking at creating entirely new businesses related to greening and economic security within the chemical industry itself.
New businesses. Like what?
Well, what's particularly forward-thinking is their exploration of next-generation agribusiness. This includes cutting-edge tech like genome editing for crops
Wow.
and the development of alternative protein sources,
Mm-hmm.
areas with, frankly, huge potential to reshape the food industry.
Definitely. Okay, the automotive sector. It's undergoing massive disruption. How is Sumitomo's automotive group planning to navigate this transformation?
Their strategy seems to be to actively lead the mobility transformation, not just react to it.
Lead it? Okay.
And this goes far beyond just manufacturing and selling cars. They're focused on creating entirely new business models, leveraging digital technologies.
Such as?
A prime example is the growth strategy of Sumitomo Mitsui Auto Service. It's expanding into comprehensive mobility services. Think ride-sharing, fleet management, other integrated transport solutions.
Ah, so mobility as a service.
Exactly, recognizing that personal mobility itself is evolving very rapidly.
And finally, the digital business segment. It sounds like this kind of underpins so much of what the other groups are trying to achieve.
Precisely. That's a good way to put it. Their overarching goal is to globally strengthen the entire value chain of digital business.
The whole chain.
Yeah. This includes developing and providing a wide range of digital solutions for various industries, building the underlying smart communication infrastructure like 5G networks,
Right.
engaging in media and content ventures, and even investing in venture capital to get early access to and help foster cutting-edge digital innovations.
So it's foundational.
It's clear that digital is seen as a horizontal enabler, something that will drive efficiency and create new opportunities across all their diverse operations.
Okay, so with all these ambitious plans, they must also be anticipating some significant headwinds, some challenges.
Yeah.
What does the report highlight there?
Oh yeah, they paint a very realistic picture of the current global environment. Doesn't shy away from it.
Good.
In the automotive sector, for example, they acknowledge the intense competition and the rapid restructuring happening because of EVs and autonomous driving.
Mhm.
More broadly, they're concerned about slower global economic growth, and, of course, the increasing costs of doing business driven by inflation.
Always a factor.
And the ongoing supply chain disruptions and significant geopolitical risks are also listed as major concerns.
Are there any challenges specific to certain sectors they've identified beyond auto?
Yes, definitely. They specifically mentioned the fierce competition for skilled IT personnel.
Ah, the talent war.
Exactly. Which is critical for their DX ambitions. In the shipbuilding industry, they're facing increased competition, plus high steel prices impacting profitability.
Tough combo.
Yeah. They also note the constantly evolving living and business environments, which intensifies competition in consumer-facing sectors like retail and healthcare.
Right.
The potential impact of climate change on food supply is a significant concern for their agribusiness side.
Understandable.
And they anticipate increasing competition within the energy sector itself as the whole transition accelerates.
It sounds like they have a clear-eyed view of the obstacles ahead. Now let's talk about the people behind all this, the human capital. How does Sumitomo view their role in achieving these goals?
Well, they explicitly state that their people are the driving force behind their growth.
Okay.
And they've launched a major initiative called Unlock Your Power.
Unlock your power. Catchy? What does it involve?
It focuses on developing 3 key areas, what they call business engineering power.
Business engineering power. What's that?
It likely encompasses strategic thinking, process improvement, the ability to connect different parts of the business, that sort of thing.
Okay. Makes sense.
Then leadership at all levels
Yeah.
and speed in execution.
Right. Agility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to support this, they've introduced a new job grading system aimed at rewarding merit, reformed their performance evaluation processes to be more transparent, more impactful,
Mm-hmm.
and implemented integrated career development programs. They're also actively measuring employee engagement through global surveys.
And tying it to pay.
Yes, and importantly, they've linked engagement and DE&I targets directly to executive compensation.
Ah, that shows commitment.
It really does, demonstrating a real commitment to their workforce.
Okay, let's shift our focus now to the financial side of the equation. What were the key financial highlights for fiscal year 2023?
All right, numbers. In FY 2023, Sumitomo reported a substantial balance sheet. Total assets hit 11.0 trillion,
11 trillion yen. Okay.
and shareholders' equity stood at 4.4 trillion. So a pretty solid financial foundation,
And profitability?
also healthy. Return on equity, ROE, was 9.4%. Return on assets, ROA, 3.7%. And importantly, their profit for the year, after stripping out any one-off gains or losses, was approximately 500 billion.
Half a trillion yen profit. Okay. And how does this performance relate to their previous medium-term plan, the one called Shift 2023?
Yeah, the report highlights that Shift 2023, which covered FY 2021 and 23, had a strong focus on enhancing the resilience of their business portfolio.
Resilience. How?
They strategically used metrics like return on invested capital, ROIC, and weighted average cost of capital,
WACC.
ROIC and WACC.
Okay. To guide decisions on where to allocate capital and which lower-performing businesses to potentially exit or restructure.
I see.
And the steady improvement in profitability, ROE, and overall financial soundness, culminating in that 500 billion profit level, well, it suggests that these strategic moves under Shift 2023 have been pretty effective.
So looking forward, what are the profit targets they've set for the current medium-term management plan 2026? They're aiming for a profit for the year of 530 billion in FY 2024, so showing continued growth.
Right, a step up.
And then a significant jump to 650 billion in FY 2026.
650 billion, that's a big leap.
It is. They project that around 150 billion of this profit growth will come from their already strong existing businesses, just through further optimization and investment.
Can we get a bit more granular on how the different business segments are performing financially? Any specific numbers?
Certainly. In FY 2023, again, excluding those one-off items, the Chemical Solutions segment contributed a profit of 68.0 billion.
Okay.
And the Energy Transformation business generated a robust 86.0 billion.
Strong performance there.
Very. Looking ahead to their FY 2024 forecasts, they anticipate the Chemical Solutions segment to be in the range of 52.0 to 53.0 billion.
Slight dip, maybe.
Potentially. It's also very telling, I think, to look at the split between their mineral and non-mineral resource businesses.
Ah, interesting. What does that show?
Well, in FY 2023, the mineral resources segment actually posted a loss of 4.0 billion.
A loss.
Okay. Whereas the non-mineral resource segments generated a profit of $347.0 billion.
Big difference.
Huge. And the FY 2024 forecast indicates an even larger expected loss for mineral resources at minus $114.0 billion,
Wow.
with the non-mineral resource segments projected to increase their profit further to $386.4 billion. So that clearly indicates a strategic shift in where their profitability is coming from or expected to come from.
That's a pretty significant swing, especially in the mineral resources segment. The report also mentions their focus on business-specific ROIC and WACC. Why are these metrics so central to their financial management?
Well, these metrics, return on invested capital and weighted average cost of capital, they're vital tools, really, for their ongoing efforts in business restructuring and making informed decisions about asset allocation.
How so?
By evaluating the returns they're generating on the capital invested in each specific business unit,
Right.
relative to the cost of that capital, the WACC, they can identify areas that are creating value and those that might need more attention, maybe restructuring or even divestment.
So it keeps them focused.
Exactly. It's a very disciplined, data-driven approach to managing such a diverse portfolio.
Now, a key area of interest for many listeners will be how Sumitomo plans to create value for its shareholders. What's their strategy on this front?
Yeah, absolutely crucial. Their shareholder return policy is pretty clearly articulated in the report.
Okay.
They aim for a sustainable increase in overall corporate value. And that comes through consistent profit growth,
Right, grow the pie.
which in turn will support enhanced returns to shareholders, all while, importantly, maintaining a strong and stable financial position.
And how do they plan to allocate cash flow to achieve that?
Their strategy prioritizes strategic investments aimed at future growth, first and foremost,
Growth first. Okay.
followed by a commitment to progressive dividend payments.
Progressive dividends. Good to hear.
And then third, opportunistic, flexible share repurchases depending on market conditions and their available capital.
Okay, so growth, then dividends, then buybacks potentially. Are there any specific targets they've set for shareholder returns or profitability that would directly benefit shareholders?
Yes, they have set a key target of achieving a sustainably high return on equity, ROE, of 12% or higher during this current medium-term plan.
12% ROE.
Yeah, and ROE is a crucial metric for investors, as you know.
Yeah.
It directly reflects how effectively the company is using shareholders' investments to generate profit.
True.
Achieving that 12% target would signal strong profitability and efficient capital utilization.
We're seeing a growing trend of companies linking sustainability efforts to shareholder value. How is Sumitomo incorporating this into their plans? ESG links.
Yeah, they are. They're directly integrating non-financial indicators.
Okay. Which ones?
Specifically, their progress on climate change measures, increasing the active engagement of women in their workforce, and improving overall employee engagement.
Right.
Directly into the calculation of restricted performance share units for their executive officers.
Ah, so it impacts executive pay.
Exactly. It means a portion of their executive compensation is directly tied to achieving these sustainability and social responsibility goals. It demonstrates that these aren't just, peripheral concerns.
Not just talk.
Right. They're integral to their long-term value creation strategy for all stakeholders, including shareholders.
Okay, so bringing it all together then, what's your overall assessment of Sumitomo Corporation's business direction as we look ahead based on this detailed report?
I think we're seeing a company undergoing a pretty significant evolution. The strategic shift towards being number one in each field, while definitely ambitious.
Very ambitious.
It provides a clear focus for each of their business groups. Yeah. There's strong emphasis on transforming their portfolio through both digital and green initiatives, DX and GX, indicates a keen awareness of the major global trends shaping the future. And that move towards a more agile, more autonomous organizational structure. That should, in theory, allow them to be more responsive to rapidly changing market dynamics.
Yeah, the central role of both digital and green transformation seems, well, undeniable in their future strategy.
Absolutely. They are not just looking at DX and GX as ways to, say, improve efficiency. They see them as fundamental drivers for creating entirely new businesses and differentiating themselves in increasingly competitive markets.
And you mentioned return on carbon.
Yes. The fact that they are even considering return on carbon, ROC, alongside the traditional return on equity, ROE, that really underscores their commitment to the green transition and its importance to their long-term financial sustainability. It's quite forward-looking.
The report also emphasizes a strong commitment to corporate governance. Did that stand out?
Yes, it did. They provide significant detail on the active role of their independent outside directors
Okay.
and the various committees they have in place, nomination and remuneration, corporate strategy, sustainability, etc., all to ensure robust oversight and effective decision-making.
Good governance is key.
Essential, especially for a company this size. It's crucial for building trust and confidence among investors and other stakeholders.
And beyond the financial metrics, their commitment to broader sustainability goals seems pretty noteworthy too.
Indeed, they've set significant and crucially measurable targets, including a substantial reduction in their CO2 emissions, aiming for 40% or more by 2035 compared to their FY 2019 levels.
That's a serious target.
It is. And they're also actively working to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion within their organization, DE&I, with specific targets for increasing the representation of women in management positions by FY 2030.
Concrete goals.
Right. These commitments demonstrate a holistic view of sustainability that encompasses environmental, social, and governance factors, the whole ESG picture.
So the overall picture is of a company with ambitious financial goals, a well-defined strategic roadmap, and a kind of multifaceted approach to achieving sustainable growth and delivering value.
Exactly. They are strategically balancing the need to optimize and grow their existing core businesses with making significant investments in future opportunities, all while maintaining that commitment to returning value to their shareholders. The complex undertaking, no doubt, given their vast size and diverse operations.
For sure.
But the report suggests a clear direction and a determined approach.
Well, this deep dive into Sumitomo Corporation's 2024 integrated report has certainly provided a comprehensive understanding of their current position and future ambitions. It's remarkable, really, to see how a company with such deep historical roots continues to adapt and strategize for the future in such a dynamic global environment.
It really prompts you to consider, doesn't it, how Sumitomo Corporation's unique number one in each field strategy will actually play out in this increasingly interconnected and rapidly evolving global economy.
Yeah, what happens next?
Exactly. What unforeseen opportunities or disruptive forces might they encounter as they strive for this ambitious leadership position across such a wide array of industries? Definitely a story that will be interesting to follow.